Well, hello, you guys. How are you? I am excited to be coming to you with a little bit different topic. This topic I have been thinking about over the last few days and what I want to share with you. And it's been kind of a fun recap for me to think about myself as a new consultant. And so, what I want to talk to you guys today about is kind of my top 10 things that I remember about being a new consultant that now 20, almost 23 years later, and working with new consultants for 22 years, little things that I know set me up for success early on in my career with Mary Kay, and little things that I did that during, the build of my brand new unit as a new sales director, little things that I was doing as a new consultant and all throughout the process of becoming a sales director and earning my very first Mary Kay car. Little things I was doing that you maybe wouldn't think matter that much, but I know looking back that they absolutely set me up for some success, some major success. And so I wanted to share these things with you because I think that sometimes people assume that to get to the top in Mary Kay or to be successful in Mary Kay, you have to know a ton of people. You have to be really great at putting on makeup. You have to be super outgoing. You have to have all the support in the world. You have to be beautiful. You have to XYZ, fill in the blank, right? But all of those things, while they may and probably are helpful to your business, it's not a bad thing to be outgoing. That's absolutely going to be a positive for building a people business. They're not required and they are not required. And a lot of those qualities are learned along the way, or strengthened along the way. And so I think that sometimes we put so much energy and thought into everything that we're not, and every personal quality that we have that's the opposite of somebody who is having a lot of success in Mary Kay, that we assume we just don't have what it takes. We just weren't given what it takes to be successful in Mary Kay, and that could not be further from the truth. And a lot of times the people that we look up to in this company, if we were to get our hands on recordings of their first Mary Kay parties early on, or even, some of our most dynamic, most successful, most polished speakers, you can sometimes come across their old trainings from the 90s recordings, and you listen to it and you're like, okay, I see a glimmer of this person that I see on stage today, but she sounds so much less polished, less perfect, right? Because it's an evolution. You're never going to meet the standards of perfection in any area of your life. But you can become someone who is experienced, and full of knowledge because of the work that they've done over the years. It's funny when sometimes I will say, you know what, I had this new idea. I was thinking about doing this and this and this. And somebody who's been in the company for a long time might say, you know what, we used to do something similar to that. And there's just so much wealth in the experience, right? But we can look at these people up on stage and think, she's perfect at this. I just don't have what it takes. And neither did she in the beginning, right? And so I want to talk to you about 19-year-old Amanda who didn't have a clue about anything, and the top 10 things that you may not expect, but that helped me to have early success. So I've got a little list here in front of me. And so I'm going to talk to you about each one of these things. So number one, when I started Mary Kay, we did have a Mary Kay consultant's website. I don't think we had a personal website yet. It came out very shortly after I had only been in for a year or two, I think, when we first got personal websites. But we did have a Mary Kay in Touch, which is our consultant's website. But you guys, it was talk about a glimmer of what we have today. There was not much on there, not like we have today. One of the biggest wealths of information on our In Touch website is the education tab. That was not there. We had brochures. We had light mock-ups of things, but it was not the in touch that you're given today. And so one of the things that I wrote down, just number one, that I did early on as a consultant was that I got every bit of information that I had or needed or was looking for from either my starter kit or my sales director. That's it. There weren't many other options outside of that. Social media was barely coming around. And you guys, I didn't actually have social media until well after I was married. And so social media had really been around for probably 10, 12 years when I first got on first got on social media. And so now I feel like we all have what feels like access to anybody that we want um, in the world through social media, but also within our company. What I see now, which is a stark difference between what I was exposed to as a new consultant and what my new consultants are exposed to, is that you can see what anybody wants to share with you. And when you're watching and following people who you've never even met in Mary Kay, you may be bombarded with their ideas and seeing how they're building their business and just being inspired by them, motivated by them. Sometimes people are even, caught in a comparison game with people who are so different from them, but having such great success in Mary Kay. And that just was not available to me. That just was not available to me. And so if I wanted to learn how to build this business, my only resource was what I found in my starter kit and my sales director. And I learned from her through one-on-one conversations, through watching her work, whether she was working with me, like to recruit somebody or get them started in the business, watching her hold parties at our success events. I also got training from her because I plugged in. If she offered something, conference calls were a huge thing back then, unit meetings, I didn't miss it. I wanted to soak up every bit of information that she was willing to share with me. And so I think that what this did for me, because I didn't have as much to grab my attention and constantly be, feeding myself with all these ideas, was that there was limited ideas, limited information coming my way. And I just ran with those. And I swung into action much quicker, I think, because, if somebody taught you how to do a party, you just went and did it that way. There wasn't 1,000 different ways to hold a party. And I think now in today's world, obviously choices are a good thing and you can work this business any which way that you want to. But like for me, I know that I am somebody who likes to do an around the table in-person party. And so I don't really know how to do a virtual bingo night, which is very popular now that people are working so virtually. I don't know how to do a messaging party or a posting party, because those are not ways in which I like to work my business. And so, and because early on, I wasn't bombarded with all these different variations, I don't feel the need to learn all of these things, right? I just want to perfect the way that I do it and the way that I want to do it. And so I think that comes from that strong foundation early on, that if I want to learn how to do this, I'm going to get that information from my starter kit and from my sales director, and I'm not going to search outside of that. Number two, I did not try to recreate the wheel. Okay. My sales director was where I could only hope to ever dream to be. She was driving a pink Cadillac, multiple cars had been earned. She'd been on top sales director's trips. She was wearing big diamond rings. She was a work from home mom. She was making a lot of money. And so when she showed me how to do something, even if it felt a little foreign to me, or like not my style, not my communication style, not my personality style, I didn't try to change it. Of course, I would put my own little spin on things, right? But I did not try to redo what she had already mastered. I just tried to master what she already had mastered and taught me. And because she was where I wanted to be, I thought, why would I redo this? Why would I change this? And there were consultants that were coming up in her unit at the same time that I was. And I remember them always coming to the success event saying, this is the way, I know this is the way that Annette does it, but I was thinking, and I started adding this in, and she was always very in favor of that. But I remember thinking like, well, wonder why just do it the way she told us to do it. Like that just seems like a no-brainer to me. And so I just didn't try to recreate the wheel. And she had already perfected it. And I learned directly from her. Number three, I attended everything, 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 everything. How many ways can I say that? You guys, I attended everything, every success meeting, every conference call, every party, I attended everything. Number one, I knew that that was where I was going to get her most time and attention, because she was going to work with the ones who were showing up. And she used to say, and this is a very widely used phrase in Mary Kay, those who show up, go up. And that is true. That is true. Those who show up go up. And there's so many reasons for that, I believe. Number one, it is a strong commitment to your business. When you show up week in and week out, it's very obvious that this is something that you are committed to. Number two, it helps strengthen your skills and training. And you are really a part of a free army. You don't have to build this Mary Kay business. Nobody's going to fire you if you don't do it right or you don't do it enough. But I wanted to be on the front lines. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be earning. I wanted to be moving up. And so I knew those who show up go up. And I saw it happen in my first, I became a sales director really quickly within my first 9 months. And that's when I earned my first free Mary Kay card. I was 19 and I watched women who came in hot and heavy, and they were coming to the meetings and they were the number one seller and they were excited. And then slowly but surely they would start tapering off. They weren't coming as often. And, when she would send out a newsletter with the rankings, I would notice that, who was at the top, all of a sudden they're starting to trickle down the line a little bit, which maybe their intention was not to be the number one. But I also noticed that coincided with them tapering off attending the events. And so I never questioned, you guys. I was 19, broke, and brand new in Mary Kay. I had joined on June 1st, and I had my first party on June 13th, and seminar registration closed the end of June, and we left like the second or third week of July to go to seminar. I had not really started making that much money yet, but she told me, Amanda, I cannot encourage you enough. You've got to be at seminar. And I didn't question her. I came home and I talked to my parents, and we got a plan together for how I was going to pay for it. And I started making the arrangements. I took off work. All the different things. I started like, what kind of clothes do I have to have? I did that as inexpensively as I could. I just really attended everything. I never missed anything. So that's number three. Number four, I was consistent. No weeks off. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't, I remember being in Mary Kay for just a few weeks. And at the end of the summer, really about 6 weeks, at the end of the summer in August, me and a couple friends and my now husband, then boyfriend, we went on a float trip, on a camping trip. And I was like, Annette, we're going to go on this little trip. And she was like, okay. And I said, so I won't be here at the meeting next week. And she was like, that's okay. And I said, but I'm doing this party, and then I'll just report those sales whenever I get back, And she was like, that sounds good. So it doesn't mean that I never took a little break from my business, but I only took a little break from my business, working right up until that break, and then having a plan in place for starting work when I got back. I never lost consistency. I wanted to be successful in this business, and I wanted to move up. And so there was never a time where I'm like, oh yeah, I have a Mary Kay business, or I haven't held a party in months. That never happened. Still to this day, I have consistently pursued my business every week, week in and week out. And I stayed consistent with that. I see consultants oftentimes have huge bursts of success early on, and then they get out of the practice of or book or their appointments fall off their books, or they get through all the appointments that they had, and maybe they don't have any bookings coming up, and they don't pursue new bookings. And I see that, and they're really good at this, but they don't stay consistent, and so their business is always a start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And it's really hard to gain momentum that way. Where I feel like over my first 9 months, from brand new consultant, just signing her agreement, all the way to becoming a brand new sales director, I had growing, compounding momentum building at all times because I stayed consistent. I consistently worked my business every single week. Number 5, I achieved everything that I could. If she gave us a challenge at the end of the success event, I got it done that week. If we had a goal to, earn a pink ice ring. That was a big thing. She used to give away pink ice rings. And so it was like costume jewelry, right? And I think I should have kept I wonder if I do actually still have my pink ice ring. But the way that you earned that was by doing 30 faces and 10 sharing appointments in a month. And when she told me that I could earn this pink ice ring early on, in my first few weeks as a consultant, I started working towards that. And you guys, in doing that, trying to get my first 30 faces and my 10 sharing appointments done, just so I could have that dumb costume pink ice ring, I became a red jacket in the process. So I had moved up the career path into red jacket within a matter of 30 days because I was chasing that pink ice ring. 30 faces and 10 sharing appointments. The pearls of sharing, she used to track that as well. And that was, again, tied to sharing appointments, sitting down and building your confidence, listening to her share this business opportunity, so that as I moved up the career path, once I was in DIQ, I was sharing my own I was doing my own appointments of team building. And but that came from all the repetitions that I had heard her share her story, because I was trying to earn that pink ice ring and the pearls of sharing. I never missed my star consultant status, and I kept track of it. Now today we have the Power Up and Grow Challenge, which has now been called, for the second part of the year, Rise Up and Radiate, I think is what it is, Rise and Radiate Challenge, where you place at least a 600 wholesale every single month. I did that. And you guys, not only did that make me a star consultant every single quarter, which gave me prizes and recognition and website referrals. In addition to all of that, I also learned and strengthened that muscle, because once you get into team leader position, DIQ, sales director, your commission goes up when you place at least a 600 wholesale monthly. And so I never missed that. But that came from early on, her challenging us with little things that we could earn along the way. And I just achieved every single one of them that I could. Okay, number 6, once I accomplished a goal, I set the next one immediately. I set the very next goal immediately, because I was like, okay, check, I did that. What's next? And I wanted to keep moving forward, and it excited me to win things and to challenge myself and accomplish them. And so I never let any time lapse between finishing a goal and then setting the next one. Because what I know in this business is that unless you're moving forward at all times, really, and it doesn't have to even be at a rapid pace, but if you're not taking the next step forward, it is very easy for your business to kind of trickle out in your mind, but also the success that you're having. And so once I finished a goal, I set the very next one. Number 7, I did not let setbacks keep me out of the game very long. Any amount of time at all, really, to be honest with you. A lot of people are surprised to hear this, but even though I became a director really quickly, I was 19, had been in the business only 9 months when I debuted as a sales director and earned my first free Mary Kay car. What you might be, that sounds like, man, this took off for you. And yes, it did. And I worked hard to achieve it. But what a lot of people might be surprised to know is that I fell out of DIQ 3 times. In fact, if I would have fallen out a 4th time back then, I would have had to sit out for an entire year before I could enter DIQ again. So I fell out of qualifications 3 months in a row, and it was literally do or die time. If I did not stick it out and make it happen this fourth go around, I was going to have to sit out a complete year and enter DIQ 12 months from then. And so I remember falling out of DIQ the first time and being devastated, crying. Um, and Annette said, Amanda, it's okay. You still have your same number of team members. Let's just get back after it this month. And so I did, and fell out again. And I remember again being like, oh, and questioning, like, is this even something that I am capable of doing? Like, maybe I'm just not ready or good at this. And Annette was like, well, you've got this team. Do you still want it? Yes, I do. Okay, Amanda, let's keep working. And the third month that I fell out again, then I was so frustrated. I was frustrated with myself. I was frustrated with my results. I was frustrated. And what I learned through that entire process is that it's not always going to be easy. Anything worth having is going to cause struggle, right? And I just knew this is like, now I have to prove that I can get it done. And so I re-entered that fourth time and became a sales director over that next 120 days and earned my first free Mary Kay car. And there were so many lessons learned during those setbacks. But number one, Annette would say to me, Amanda, you have stick-to-itness. You have stick-to-itness. So what that you fell off track? Let's stick to it. Let's get back in the game. And I absolutely did not allow myself to stay out of the field for very long. In fact, I remember the third time that I fell out of DIQ, I remember telling Annette, I'm not going to come to the meeting tonight. I just need a night. And she was like, no, that's not an option, Amanda. No. You have team members that are coming, and you owe it to yourself to keep your head in the game. I know you're feeling bummed right now, but this is exactly what you need to get your motor running again. And she was right. She didn't take no for an answer. She did not allow me to sulk. She just said, nope, let's get back into it. And I think back on that conversation a lot because I don't know what would have happened if I had skipped that meeting. Maybe I wouldn't have come back the next week. You know, you miss church for a weekend and then you miss it again the next weekend. And finally you're like, do we even go to church anymore? Right? I didn't want that to happen to my Mary Kay business. And she leaned in and she encouraged me to continue to come, even though I wasn't feeling it. And I never missed. So that was good. Number 8, I kept my director informed of everything that I had going on. Now she was busy. She had a top unit, and she had a cell phone, but you guys, we weren't tied to our phones like we are now. Many times I can't even count millions of answer machine messages I've left her over the years, but just like, hey, wanted to let you know I got another party booked. I've got 2 tomorrow on Saturday. They're back to back, and I already know I want to recruit the hostess, so I'll follow up with you. I'll let you know how that goes. And then I would call her after that Saturday, and I would say, I sold $900 today, and I have 2 sharing appointments set up. Can you do tomorrow at lunch and then Monday at lunch? And I kept her in the loop. She knew when I was working. She didn't have to guess. She didn't have to wonder, like, where's Amanda at? What's she doing? I kept her in the loop at all times. Number 9, if something wasn't working as well as I wanted it to, I asked her for help. I didn't ask my sister consultants. I went directly to her, and I say things like, I haven't sold a Cadillac roll-up bag in my last 4 parties. I don't know what's going on. And she's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. And she would help me. Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Okay, why? Tell me how you're saying this. And I would say it to her, and she would say, okay, that's different than what you used to say. Let me tell you what you used to say and what I taught you to say. And she would say it back to me, and she's like, do you see the difference there? And I was willing to take her suggestions and implement them immediately. If she told me how I could improve upon something, I did it the very next time. I didn't think about it. I didn't roll it around in my head. Let me pray on this. I just did it. But when something wasn't working as well as I wanted it to, I went directly to her. And then number 10, my Mary Kay business was always on my mind. When I was working my full-time job, when I was sitting in class in college, when I was out to dinner with my boyfriend, when I was, having family dinner, people would say, how have you been? Tell me what's going on with you. And it was always like, I'm building this Mary Kay business. I'm earning my first free car. It was constantly on my mind. Everybody who knew me knew that this was a big part of my life. I didn't hound them about it, but when they wanted to hear an update about me or, what'd you do this last weekend? I all I cared about was that I'm moving forward in my Mary Kay business. And I had 4 parties this weekend and it was so much fun. And oh, and we went to go see this comedy show and, whatever. But it was always on my mind and it was always coming out of my mouth. And people started to really believe that, oh my gosh, she's really going to do this thing. She is really going to do this, which then in turn built my confidence. And also, I sometimes was thinking like, I'm really doing this. I just told her that I'm earning a free card, Mary Kay. Wow. So it was always on my mind and it was always coming out of my mouth. So that is my top 10 list of things that I did early on as a brand new consultant that I know helped fuel my success and really helped me grow quickly in this business. All right. I hope you heard some helpful hints there. All right. Talk to you soon.